Hello there, and welcome to the Impact Zone podcast. We are back once more to talk more TNA wrestling shenanigans. And today we are here to discuss honesty versus negativity, or perhaps hating. I don't know exactly what to sort of say there. But yeah, this is one of those things where I think some people, as I've said before, are out there and are haters. They just sort of do all this haterade sort of stuff, and like I've said before, if you've got something constructive to say, then that is worth saying. Absolutely. I will say things on here that are negative about the company and the direction of TNA sometimes and that, but I'm never on here to hate on them. They are doing a lot of great work, and I really enjoy what they do, and they have to work with what they've got a lot of the time. They don't have the sort of money that WWE or AEW do. They don't have the resources. And, like, again, even if we consider that they are the third brand in wrestling, well, they're the third or fourth brand in wrestling or whatever it is. They're automatically, not the biggest time that there can be. They are a great national and international stage, but thing is, 90% of people, or whatever, even more than that, I think 90% of people will think about WWE first. Like, when you're talking, not just talking about the wrestlers, but certainly when you're talking about the wrestlers as well. But again, same with the fans. Their number one thought, when they're coming to TNA is like to try to, sort of, I guess, equate wrestlers to other wrestlers that are in WWE. All this, that's why, again, I think people would often just say, oh, Abyss is TNA's Kane or whatever. It was a very simple and easy to digest sort of comparison. That wasn't obviously true, I don't think, in my opinion, or whatever. He's TNA's Mick Foley, whatever. This or that, whatever else it is. I don't think that that is wholly true. I think that there is some of that in there, and you can sort of argue some of that. But again, it's really its own character. But for a simplicity's sake and saying, what is this character? Well, it's basically TNA's Kane, okay? It's not, but that's sort of boiled down to the most simplistic thing. It's TNA's Kane, This guy who wears a mask and, is a big monster. That's the most simplistic way to kind of, explain that to fans, or at least fans who are not too similar or recognizable of, like, okay, I'm coming into TNA for the first time or the first few times. Who are these guys? What are they all about? Blah, 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 that sort of thing. Rather than just actually watching it and trying to get engaged, they're trying to go, oh, okay, I want to associate this person with somebody I already know, kind of thing, which I guess is fair enough in some ways as well. But again, it does lead to that problem of oversimplification or whatever, and some people just going, oh, well, TNA tried to copy WWE effectively by making their own Kane. No, they didn't. TNA tried to copy WWE by making their own Mick Foley, or tried to copy WWE by making their own Daniel Bryan. No, they didn't, So again, it's one of those things, you can't force manufacture anything. The fans that are in those arenas are always going to decide whether something, goes to the top or whether it flops and fails. So it doesn't matter how much TNA wanted something to happen, a story or an angle or whatever to play out like WWE. If the fans didn't want it, well, it wouldn't have happened, So again, as I was sort of saying, I'm not here to hate on them or anything. And I think that the people there are people out there that are critics, and are out there doing what I would call critical work. They're not just out there to say, oh, this is shit and this is bad and this sucks. Same as what I try to do here. I try to find some things that are somewhat positive to talk about most of the time. And even when I'm saying, hey, there's some stuff here that, isn't that great, or I wish it was better, or whatever else it is, I'm not sitting here going, oh, well, they're just shit, or they should just, roll over in a hole or die, or whatever else, or just, blathering on about, how they're dying and how they're going out of business and all of this other stuff. They've been in business for over 20 years, and I've never run a wrestling company in my life. So what do I know about professional wrestling? But from a fan's perspective, just in sort of looking at it and going, man, I really wish that there'd just be a little bit more here in the women's division, or in this division or that division, or I wish they'd, take a little bit more time to do this, or, promo this a bit more and do this or do that or whatever. And again, same thing with going live or whatever, that sort of thing. But there are those people that are out there that are making, solid criticisms. And again, it's one of those things where they're in a very difficult sort of spot. They can't really do very much with their TV because their TV absolutely sucks. That's not their fault, but it is like we've said, we've heard a lot of mumblings and whatnot of them saying, oh, well, we're going to look at a new distribution deal and we're going to look at, more streaming services and whatnot that we could get on or whatnot as well. So we've just got to keep waiting and waiting and waiting, and we're not really hearing many updates. And it's just one of those things as well. It's sort of like, well, we can't really update you very much because it's negotiations. We're all in negotiations, and we've got to keep those negotiations fairly quiet about what's going on until they're confirmed. So again, I get that. And whatnot. So, and hopefully we, hope for the best. That's the only thing you can do sometimes. But as I say, I definitely think TNA does deserve a bigger and better TV slot because, again, their wrestling product, even though it's not perfect, nothing is, by the way. People would think, WWE's perfect or whatever. It's not, And I don't know what perfect is, but again, even if you take a step back and say, no, hang on there, what would be the best thing for this, or the best thing for that, or the best thing for this person or that person? Because you've got to take everyone to an account, and you've got to start saying, okay, let's have a look at our roster. Now, our roster needs to have a lot of people in it, certainly, at a certain, in certain divisions and whatnot. But at a certain point, we've just got too many people that we're not using all of the time. We can't use everyone every single week. We don't have enough TV hours in the week to showcase them all. And again, perhaps that is why that they've, come along with NXT to give them more space, and why some of these people are appearing on NXT, because it's like, well, we haven't got anything else for you. We just don't have enough time to feature you on Raw and SmackDown this, in this period of time and whatnot. So right now we need more star power in NXT, and we think you could bring that. And that's fair enough. This is like, they shouldn't make it like it's a demotion. They should make it like, no, we're just going to use you over here. You're going to be a centerpiece of this division for the next 6 months or whatever it is, because we just don't have enough space for you on the main roster right now. And once you've done with this run for the next year or whatever else it is, we're going to bring you back to the main roster with all this momentum built up, and then you're going to enter into something else, So, you should be assuring people as well. But again, that's something that they need to do internally. But TNA doesn't have this problem per se. They have their explosion show where you get, which is basically, I think, the dark matches that they have on some of these shows or whatnot, or even some of the dark main events or whatever it is, just to sort of get the crowd warmed up before the shows and whatnot, so that they can, build the next show, or build the show that they're just about to tape, and whatnot. So they just film that and then, put it on for, the explosion show. And that's not perfect, but again, it's just a thing that gets something on the air, and it's something like a digitally, or sort of digitally exclusive, I suppose. So, it's fine for what it is. Sometimes they have some really good little things there. Sometimes around the ring's all right. But again, I think we try to be as honest here as what we can. We try to be as objective as what we can, but we also try to be, as constructive as what we can. We're not here to tear down TNA, even if they're doing things that, I don't think that they should be doing, or whatever, and this or that, or whatever. Or I think, maybe the women's division needs this, or maybe we should rethink that, or maybe we need some more people in the tag team division, or whatever else it is. We're just going, hey, or we just really need, the most important thing is money coming into the company. Because again, having that money coming into the company, having that bigger platform would just help TNA so much more. Having those more ability to sell ad revenues and whatnot will to to advertisers and whatnot is the way to get these things to, get more money into the product, which will further fuel the product into the future. So it's just one of those things that, you can't really think that it's a bad idea to, expand or to find different distributions or whatever, because it just exposes you to more markets, and it exposes you to more advertisers, which are all gaining you revenue. But anyway, again, we're not here to, kick them in the shins or whatever. No, we're here to say, hey, these things that aren't quite working or aren't the best, I know some people complain about the lighting or whatever, but mostly it's all right. Just in my opinion, and from what I've seen, I don't think the crowd needs to be lit up all the time. I think the crowd maybe needs to be lit up every now and again, or whatever it is. Because again, to me, as a person viewing on TV, the crowd is second gate to the wrestlers that are in the ring. So not when the match is happening, I think that the audience should be in the dark. When entrances are happening and whatnot, that's when you perhaps need the lights up and whatnot. Perhaps also there are some times when a wide shot or whatever will call for the audience to be lit up, because you can sort of see the audience, cheering and carrying on or whatever it is. But for me, I think they do it pretty darn well, and they certainly do it better than any of the indies, even better than New Japan. So again, I think, yes, they could be better, but again, it's that's the least of their worries, in my opinion. I think some of their worries aren't really worries, but are just things that are there that, perhaps they can't deal with. And again, it's not just that they'll lose people to WWE. Now they're losing people to AEW or whatever, but they have gained people from AEW, which is, sort of coming back on itself as well. It's one of those things. Again, I'm not here to drag down AEW or anything or whatnot. It's not like I like AEW or hate AEW. It's just, it's there to me, I don't really have a very strong opinion on it. I know it's there, and I don't really care about it. That's me, because again, from what I've seen and what I've experienced with AEW, from just watching it here and there or whatever it is, that it's just yes, I love, really good wrestling, but there's got to be more than just really good wrestling. I've got to see more than that. And there's just not enough stories and enough time to tell those stories, because you're telling, you're spending all this time on, these matches that are 20 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever else it is, and expecting everyone to be 5-star matches and whatnot. And whatnot. So, and yes, if that's what you want, cool, great. But at a certain point, there are more people who want to see more than that, which is 90% of the audience. Again, they want to see more. They want to see stories play out, showing you who this person is, why the fuck you should care, and why you should buy a ticket. But anyway, that is pretty much, where I'm at. I think we try to tread the line a little bit here of saying what we think is, closest to the truth, or trying to dig that truth up, or trying to say, hey, maybe this needs a bit more work or whatever, or whatnot. Like some people, they just need, like Jake something. Now, finally, the other week, I felt like, man, he's starting to work that heel gimmick. And then he was on comment. I think it was it must have been the week before taping or whatever. And then he was on Explosion, I think the next day, doing commentary. And he didn't do the best job of it, but he didn't do horribly. I think he actually did a pretty darn good job of sort of trying to heel on commentary, and trying to explain some of his stuff, which was pretty good. And again, so now I'm kind of starting to get now I'm kind of like getting into it and getting interested, because you're starting to, if you're not going to give me something, a direction, a story, a reason, we need this verbiage, we need to see it, and we need to hear it, then there's nothing there for me, and I lose interest, quicker, and I will lose interest very quickly. And I'm easily going. I've waited a few weeks for this to develop and to play out. Younger people, and I will say this especially, are very, very impatient, and they can't wait to see what happens next. And they need the payoffs, like that. They need to see what's happening and why, as quickly as possible. So just having had that maybe a week before would have been even better, just to try to, build the heat quicker and to get that turned around even faster. Just to, make sure the fans are right. We know where this is, and we know what's going on, and we have a reason to care, But again, you can't use everyone every single week, and you need to, use some people that you haven't used for a few weeks. You can't use them every single week or whatever. But still, you have to, when you have something, you need to follow up on it immediately, like a babyface turn or a heel turn, whatever. I don't even think they've really done that with Wentz. I think they need to find that time with Wentz for him. Maybe they could do that in the build up to Bound for Glory after he loses to Wes over in NXT, and he's sort of saying, hey, I lost and whatever else and all of this, and but I had won that X Division title, and I would sure as heck like to get back to it, but I don't know whether I can, just because I don't know whether I can focus on it, and this sort of thing, or whatever, I'm not going to go through that whole thing right now, but again, it's kind of you can kind of see that they might have that for him, but just kind of trying to build that, trying to verbalize that, and trying to get that into the fans' minds. This is where he's coming from, and saying, hey, I had a long run of, perhaps being an asshole here, and perhaps some people didn't really, take to me, finding my way here a few weeks back, because, well, honestly, I just missed my brother, Wes, who finally came back to us, this sort of thing. And then that was taken away from me by him. And now I don't know what to do, that sort of thing, So you've got to find that space to sort of build these things in, and for people to go, oh, okay. Or you need to, again, go, okay, backwards. right, let's turn him back heel. Did people react well to him? Yes, but is there a reason to keep him babyface, or is it better for him to be a heel? Like, I've lost my brother, I've lost everything. I lost that title to you, but I want it damn back, and now I'll do anything to get it, because that's the only way I can feel like I am complete again, or something. You can do all sorts of things. You can do this any which way you want. That's up to you, and up to, ultimately how you present what you're trying to present to that audience. But again, yeah, that's where we're at with this one. Again, I don't want to get too far off track, and I want to talk more about some of the stuff, especially this Spartanburg stuff. So I will have a episode coming out soon about that. So if you're interested in what's happened with the hurricane and whatnot, I will be discussing it here in the next episode. So do join me for that one. Hope you've enjoyed, and see you then.